Good evening, all. My
So
apologies.
Louisa,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
And you can see me? Great. So
Yes.
I have to apologize to everyone, one for being late, and also we've had a number of illnesses and missed scheduling. So please excuse my flustering. It is June 21st, 2022, and the time is 6:08 p.m. I now call this meeting of the Urban Design Commission to order. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting of the Urban Design Commission is conducted via remote participation. We will make recordings available upon request as soon as possible after the meeting. My name is Luisa Oliveira, and I have been designated Chair of the Urban Design Commission for tonight's meeting by Director Lewis. We will start with a roll call of the commission members present. Frank Valdez.
Present. Present. Did
Did
anybody not
Frank
hear
just
me?
say he was present?
Present.
Can someone speak, please? I can't hear you.
Yes.
I heard Frank say present.
Okay, you guys hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
hear you.
I
good.
can hear
I
you.
can't hear.
I'm
any
always
of
the one
you.
who's having troubles
So,
anyway.
Give me a second, please.
Doing great today.
Winning.
I can't hear you. Andrew, can you do the roll call while I'm trying to fix my audio, please?
Yes. Tim Hood,
Present.
Jim Talon,
Present.
Deborah Fennick,
Here.
Jerry Wayne,
Here.
and Andrew Arbaugh.
Here.
Louisa, how are we doing? All right, I will just move forward with then the next section, which is just the approval of the April 26, 2022 meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve, or would the commission like to discuss?
I had one comment, and that was just on the Boynton Yards thoroughfare. Let's see, let me find. There in paragraph 3, it had noted the applicant noted that there will be no distinction between sidewalk and road, as there will be a curbless condition. I think it would be worth just clarifying that I think there was a pretty clear distinction between sidewalk and road spaces. There was no change in grade between sidewalk and road, so I'd just change distinction to grade change or something similar to that.
We will make sure that that edits in part of the approved minutes. Is that all the comments? I think that was a yes.
I think that's it.
Could I get a motion to approve the April 26, 2022 meeting minutes?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, so I will go around. All in favor, Frank Valdez,
Yes.
Sherry Wayne,
Yes.
Jim Hood,
Yes, I just have a quick question. Seeing as how all of the commission is present, I think I won't be able to vote on anything. Is that correct?
Oh, we're just clarifying because they have, the full commission is present tonight. That is correct. So you can participate in this discussion, Tim, you just cannot vote.
Okay.
No, thanks for clarifying. So then we'll move to Andrew Arbaugh
Yes.
and Deborah Fennec.
Yes.
Thank you. Louisa, are you still there? Or are you trying to call in?
That was dramatic.
Okay, hold on a second. Sorry, everyone, for the technical difficulties. Lisa, can you hear us? You're self-muted. You're self-muted on your end.
Can you hear me now?
We
Yes,
can.
can you hear us?
Oh, great. Sorry about that. Let me just leave this meeting on this side. Okay, where was I?
So Lisa, we just approved the minutes. Now we're moving to design review.
Okay, our first design review will be for 483 Broadway, continued from May 10th, 2022. Just a reminder, the facade has already been voted on and the commission voted facade option 2 with further study. The commission will be taking the following votes for this project. 1, have the design guidelines been met for MR4 district, and a vote to incorporate any additional design guidance.
If you are presenting tonight, can you please use the raise hand feature? All right, Tavis, you should be all set.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right. Excellent. Thank you for hearing us this evening. So as you know, we've resubmitted a set of plans with some changes based on your input from last time. And I'm going to just here see if I can share my screen. Let's see here. Should be able to see the set of drawings right now. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, great.
Yes. Yes.
Excellent. So aside from the trash can located here, I think the exterior view of this has been updated. I think we discussed last time that might be a city trash can that might be along the street as opposed to one that's in that location. I think the last rendition we had was there was a question about the distance of the building back from Broadway, as well as the sidewalk on Strathmore. So I'm going to just zoom in here so you can see that we do meet the front requirements for I think the minimum is 12 feet from building to street. And right now we have 12'7" that's located here with this revision cloud. And the the sidewalk, existing sidewalk is 6'4" on Strathmore Street. And I believe that came up because we do have a door on the side that would be used for stocking the refrigerated area on that side street. So we'd be carrying down boxes and things on a two-wheeler into the space. So let me just zoom out again. Going down to the elevations here. This is where we had some changes. So one of the things we wanted to do was revise the window layouts to be more symmetrical, at least with the floor below as well as with the entry doors right to left. So what we have now is a symmetrical assembly with the windows being the same on either side. Even though the space is slightly larger on the liquor store side, The symmetry exists between the upstairs windows, the downstairs windows, and right to left as well. And dividing of the lights to match the top of the doorways along here. That change was incorporated as well. And looks like the awning didn't quite come across on that picture, but we're going to go down to the rendering here, which does contain the overhang coming out and across all the windows here. So we were changing the materials to be more in line with some of the more contemporary buildings. We'd be looking at perhaps an aluminum cladded paneling system here around the windows and top. But these colors were, I think, the ones that you guys preferred last time. And we did make some adjustments to the windows upstairs as well to reflect more of a commercial space. So let's see, I think there was one more change we made on the grass on the side here. As opposed to particular plantings, we just would have whatever we can get to grow on the ground there. Maybe some grass or some tall grass along the side there, because we don't have a lot of space obviously to work with, but want to get as much as we can in along the side of the building. So those highlight the changes we've made to the set and the elevations. So happy to take any questions as to what we've presented here.
You guys mind if we start with the landscape? Andrew says yes. So a couple questions. One is, are those planters going to be irrigated? Because the position under the awning is absolutely going to limit the amount of rain they get, and even just being in planters is sort of problematic. So what is the plan for keeping that vegetation alive?
So the actual system itself we haven't really fully developed what it would be. It could be one single planter with irrigation built in. Right now we're showing smaller ones just because it creates a little bit different look, but I think the idea would obviously to be having them grow. We want them to grow, so whatever would be necessary to make that happen. Just try and find my notifications here.
Okay, and the species that you specified, I was a little confused. What are you proposing? Boxwood in the planters, and then what is going alongside the building?
Well, there was some concern last time about what would grow along the side, because if you look at the site itself, it's what we can actually work within is really about a foot, even though there is a 3-foot buffer beyond that. We can't really do anything in that zone ourselves, so we have about a foot to work with. So whereas there's really 4 feet of open space there, we really can't plant too much in that space. That would definitely work, based on what we have to actually plant. So here you'll see we have the 3-foot passageway, so nothing's going to get built in there, but we only have a foot really of ground to work in. So with that, we have basically grasses I know would grow in that small space that we could actually plant, but we don't have too much room. We don't want anything to be right up against the building either. So the idea is to just plant as much as we can in that small space that we know would survive. And so my thought would be grasses might work there, tall grasses. As far as the planters, I haven't talked to the owner about what particular plants, but I do know that things like boxwoods and other small shrubs work well there if they're irrigated. We are facing, I believe we're facing the south side here. Yeah, so that is the south side for the most part along there. So we do get a good amount of sun. So with the right irrigation, things should grow well there. But we don't want them to be too tall either, so.
So I think understanding what plant species you're proposing is pretty important, actually. And I think they do need to be native. Is that right, Louisa and Andrew?
Not a requirement, but it's strongly encouraged.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know about grasses on the side there, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that's a maintenance hassle and a rat superhighway. I think, I don't know. I just feel like, I know you only have 12 inches, but to be thoughtful about it, you know, you could look at some sort of armature on the wall that has vines growing up it. It could be a really engaging, beautiful facade that would really improve this part of the neighborhood. I think it feels a little bit like a throwaway. And then I would just add, I think this area deserves streetscape, some attention to streetscape here. You have a generous walkway along the front facade, and to have nothing there feels like an oversight, you know. Street trees, again, would make a huge difference here.
And that was one of the things we had talked about in the previous meeting, I believe, was working with the city to figure out where the trees would go, because that street does have trees already. And so we did want to discuss where we could place those. I mean, it's obviously outside of our build area, but it is something that we also would like to see. And that's, you know, not represented here, but it's something that we certainly want to have discussed with the city, because down the rest of the street, there are trees regularly spaced, and we want to continue that. So at this point, we're not showing it, but that is the intent for the street for sure.
Okay. It just, yeah, and just for the record, I did watch the video of the last hearing. Yeah, I guess I'd just like to see the planting and the streetscape, you know, feel like it's actually a part of the design.
Yeah, and again, I guess the question was for us, you know, how much of that can we show, seeing as how it's not really our space to build on. We have to actually work with the city in that department. So, you know, I guess it was kind of a not sure where our bounds were with that regard. So
it's typically shown. Typically it's shown. So yeah, so I would echo everything Sherry has said. You have to have a streetscape. You have to have the trees on there, and they should be on the plan. I would also say the planting strip that's on the side of the building right now, I think the species that's called out is a subtropical Australian species, which I honestly had to look up. I have never heard of it in my life. So I would strongly encourage having somebody who knows plants involved in this, because those are difficult growing conditions, and what's in there now is, it's a little farcical. So that's about it for me.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And this is an MR4 district, right? Just to clarify.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with prior comments about the streetscape all the way to the curb edge. I think that's typically in this district the responsibility of the project proponent to meet zoning guidelines for sidewalk width, to incorporate those streetscape standards. So I think we want to see those on the drawings and on the plans. Can you talk a little about what's going on at the corners of the buildings? What appear to be black columns or piers, what those are, and then also the banding at the call it a cornice.
I believe the architect is on as well. I don't know if she's available. But yeah, those are trim details. I think it's partly going back to a classical look with a modern kind of combo. So I don't know if she's available to speak or not, but Natalia is her name. She did the drawings. You know, there is elements of, old meeting new, we have the old building in the back here with the brick, and then obviously the new materials that we're building and extending. So, yeah, what was that? I don't know if someone was on or not, but
Yeah.
and so that'd be trim work, casement there. That would be more of a classical combination. So,
Is it wood? Is it?
it would be a vinyl product, so it wouldn't be a wood material. No.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, for me, if the architectural concept for the building is a meeting of modern and classical elements, I think that could be something that's carried through in a little more rigorous of a way. But to me, it feels a little like a cut and paste. Feels a little disjointed to me. The kind of flat facades paired with these very thin fluted columns at the corner, which don't really appear to be supporting anything. I also wonder about, I see there was an attempt to create a somewhat symmetrical facade facing Broadway, but I wonder about that. I mean, that blue panel at the corner just feels like someone boarded in a pane of glass or something. I think one could create a symmetrical facade, but there's kind of a rhythm and scale and proportion that I think the architectural elements need another round of refinement to get the scale of those elements right. If there is a solid piece at the corner, perhaps it should be carrying through around the corner. If the idea is to pick up on a classical architectural element in a pier, for example. So there's a design guideline that specifically says the selection of materials, fenestration, and ornamentation should result in a consistent and harmonious composition that appears as a unified whole rather than as a collection of unrelated parts. And for me, the design isn't meeting that guideline yet.
So in that case, we have essentially two styles coming together, or two materials. Is there a way to resolve that without contradicting that requirement?
I think there certainly is, but I think that's something that your architect needs to show us.
All right.
We're not going to prescribe what that is.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The classical detailing, I don't quite get it, but maybe there's not a good reason for two things happening here. And it's enough to be a counterpoint to the brick wall, which it doesn't look like it has any detailing in it. It's a pretty simple brick wall, isn't it? Yeah.
Correct.
So I don't I agree with Tim, but I would say I'm not even sure there's this idea of two different things happening. I don't quite see it. It's not strong enough that if it makes sense, and I don't even know. I would even question whether it makes sense. I mean, that wide section looks like it's a backdrop for a garbage can right now, and it would be nicer probably if you could open up that corner more. But I don't know what's happening with the plan and whether that's feasible. But yeah, I agree that it's up.
I would probably echo a lot of the statements that have been said. Tim made a good comment about the corner. I actually didn't see that because the sign was hiding it in the elevation.
Mm-hmm.
But just because it's at the corner of two streets, it's kind of a highlight element of the designs. So that that corner kind of stands out as being a little odd with being the backdrop for the trash and the sign, and being kind of this like two-story solid expression. And then on the other side, it's more of like a thin pilaster. So there is a little bit of different treatment going on there. Maybe a little bit more thought about that corner could happen. So I would agree with that. I also think that it looks like, I can't really tell, but maybe like the pilasters are fluted and kind of like more of like a classical detailing, and trying to talk a little bit more about that old versus new. And I would echo kind of like what has been said. It seems like that language is fighting a bit with the new modern language. So I'm not sure if that just wants to stay down kind of like at the first floor and not go up to the second floor, or maybe be reduced and let kind of like the more modern expression take over. But it seems like a additive add-on. It doesn't seem harmonious right now with the rest of the design. And the top of the building, there's a datum line. It kind of has more of like a heavier top, and I was just thinking it might just need more of like a little bit more like a finer detail at the very top. Maybe just like a little bit small eyebrow there, just to cap it.
Mhm.
I have one other quick comment, which is technical. I'm not sure both of your doors are handicap accessible into the retail space, especially the one on the right, with the planter. So all that, that has to be coordinated, as a part of thinking about the streetscape. But you need a clearance on the whole side. That looks
Right. Yep. 18 inches or yep.
So if I can, if anyone else wants to jump in, feel free. But maybe if I can make a suggestion on the way to move forward. And I think I mentioned this last time, there's a lot of good examples of kind of simple story or mixed use buildings around Somerville. One that comes to mind is the Independent Building in Union Square, which actually does, it's a really elegant little building. And it is very subtly asymmetrical. The windows are kind of justified to one side, the storefront's a little different on one side than the other. But it is, it has a proportional relationship between the different elements on the building, and kind of comes together as a whole. I'd suggest picking 2 or 3 examples around the city and maybe showing what your precedent study of those, using that to inform refinements to the building.
Okay, we can certainly look at that a little closer. Let me see. The one that did the drawings there, Natalia, was trying to unmute, but she's not able to. I don't know if it's a control issue or not, but her name is Natalia Quirino. Somebody can unmute her, but there you go.
She's been unmuted.
There you go.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so my name is Natalia Quirino. I'm the architect who designed this project. And I took notice of everything you guys have, all the comments and everything. My intention with the strings that I have on the side, on the top of the glass, is because one of the guidelines for MR4, it's also to kind of have a separation between the first floor and the second floor. And I try as much as I could to follow the examples and the pictures that's shown on the zoning for the MR4 as well. And I tried to follow as much as I could to have the same look as it's shown. I have no intention to have it a classic design to try and show a difference between the old and new. Was just some trees to kind of separate the first floor and the second floor. The reason why we don't have the glass all the way to the corner is also because of the sign and also the trash can. And it's also where we're gonna place inside the cashier for the liquor store. So those are my comments. But I can definitely try to work on some better design with more modern looks for the corner. I just feel like these columns that you guys are talking about are very similar with what is being shown on the zoning ordinance. So.
Are there any other comments about this project?
I think just not so much a comment, but just something to note moving forward. I'm not really seeing any grading information, and the site is being rendered as flat, but there is a subtle grade change as we move towards the Salvation Army. So as the building moves forward, there should just be some verification that the lack of space that the space that we're losing isn't triggering any sort of ADA cross slope issues.
Yeah, there's, I mean, as far as the site that we are developing, we have the room to accommodate for that between the street and the sidewalk, I believe. So it is very slight. But we'll make sure that that's covered, as it will be a requirement.
Are there no other comments? The one thing I will say to the design team as Director of Public Space and Urban Forestry is to please pay attention to the design standards and the green score that will guide the streetscape that some of the commissioners have mentioned.
Will do.
At this point, we have 2 votes to take. The first is whether or not the design guidelines have been met for M4 district. And I need someone to make a motion.
So would I make a motion that the design guidelines had not been met, or would I make a motion that they had been met and vote no? What would be?
Either of them.
Okay.
But
I motion that the design.
it obviously affects the way that you all will vote.
I can make the motion that they have been met, if that helps move the process along.
Okay, the motion has been made that the design standards have been met for MR4 district, and we will do a roll call vote of the commissioners to determine that. Frank Valdez,
No.
Andrew Arbog,
No.
Tim Talon,
No.
Deborah Fennick,
No.
Sherry Ruane,
No.
Tim Hood,
I would vote no, but I don't think I'm eligible because of the full commission today.
thank you. That said, there's an unanimous vote by the commission that the MR4 district guidelines have not been met. So the recommendation would be that the team go back to review those and reach out to the different city agencies that can help in fulfilling some of those requirements. The second vote was to incorporate any additional design guidance.
Do we still do that if we voted no?
Yeah, I would say since there was no additional design guidance given other than this doesn't meet the guidelines, that we do not have to vote on that. I think someone has to move that the team should return to the commission with a more completed application.
Do they have to return, or does it just go forward with a no vote from us?
I can answer this, Louisa, if you want. This is Andrew D. You can have them move forward with a quote unquote no vote. They'll just have to provide a record as part of their application to the planning board that they did not receive a formal recommendation. Basically, the recommendation would be what you just stated right now. So the written UDC recommendation would reflect these.
I think I would leave that at the discretion of the applicant. I mean, I certainly would welcome if the project came back again, the opportunity to provide additional feedback. But I think they also have the ability to move forward with this recommendation.
I'm fine with that.
So
in summary,
to incorporate additional design guidance.
So I had a,
run through items.
so I had a question. If we were to do that and it moves forward to the planning board, can the planning board push it back down to us again?
They've sent
They
stuff
can
back.
at their discretion.
Yeah.
So
They can do that if they want. Yep.
My
so
recommendation.
just right,
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I mean,
I was just going to
think
summarize.
I just gonna say the project needs a lot more work in massaging that I would be hesitant to just send it to the planning board and say, we didn't approve it, but you can. And it could be up to them to say, yeah, or send it back to us. But I don't think that the project is in any way close to being contextual or something that I would feel comfortable approving.
I agree, but I think a unanimous no vote sort of sends that signal too, and we're kind of giving them, giving them that choice.
Okay. I concur with the committee.
So in summary, a vote.
Has the planning board ever, if we vote no, have they ever pushed it back to us?
If they sent us back stuff before, like they sent us back the, I feel like they sent us back that one in Union next to the Independent.
Did they? I know which one you're
There's
talking
been a couple they've sent back.
So in summary, a vote has been taken that this project does not meet the guidelines of the MR4 district. That was a unanimous vote of the commission. And now the applicant can either move forward to the planning board with this decision given to them, or come back to us and try to get to a place where they have approval from this commission.
Sure. So do we vote to close the case, or?
Do we need to vote to close the case, Andrew, or is it just closed? We made a vote on it and it's completed.
No, it's completed. It's just a negative recommendation.
So again, to the project team, there are a number of people at the city that would be willing to help you have a better understanding of what the zoning guidelines are. And please reach out to us if you would like to do that. Or as stated, you can go to the planning board.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there are a couple of other business items on the agenda. UDC rules of procedures and policies, an update on those.
I can take this, Louise. Thank you. So as I stated, we're going to sort of keep this an open item as we move through sort of revising the rules of procedures and policies, not just for you, this commission, but all the boards that planning staff are involved with. So I just wanted to provide an update that at last meeting, we made a motion to create a subcommittee to sort of look over the current rules of procedure and policy and procedure to help guide the process as staff works sort of internally to update those across the board. Currently, we've made a template that is basically consistent in terms of its format for all of the boards that we staff. However, obviously, the UDC is going to be a little bit more unique compared to the planning board and zoning board of appeals in terms of the content. We will be sharing with you documents along the way, but as we've formed a subcommittee, maybe we could talk about what a potential schedule could look like this summer for when those meet. I don't know, Andrew, Tim, you guys volunteered to be part of that committee. Would you like to speak on that?
Yeah, we had thought about potentially meeting as a subcommittee after this meeting, seeing that it was a light agenda, but understanding that open meeting law would apply to the subcommittee, plus the subcommittee meeting would need to be noticed. There wasn't time to follow that procedure. Do you have a sense of what the agenda will look like for our meeting in 2 weeks, or is it too early to know?
At this point, we're going to have no design reviews. I just to give you a heads up, it's going to be a light summer. We might not have any design reviews.
Okay.
Potentially.
So in that case,
What is the reason? Are there very few cases? Is that the deal?
As I stated, basically with the planning board not having a quorum in July, there's the pipeline for projects that need to be reviewed by the planning board it's pretty large at the moment. So August is going to be a very busy month for projects getting approvals into the fall. And I would say it's consistent, but we don't have a lot of new cases requiring design review going through our system at the moment. So if that helps with looking at the outlook in terms of, you could have the subcommittee as part of potentially this meeting. It's again, it just needs we have to make sure that we follow open meeting.
So can we set up a recurring subcommittee meeting for Tuesday nights? Does that work, Tim?
yeah, sure. Maybe we can start with, I could do it next Tuesday, the 28th, or we could wait until, I guess the next UDC meeting isn't until July 12th. So either next Tuesday, the 28th, or the 5th, or the 12th, any of those. Okay.
I'm good with next Tuesday. We can always set them up and cancel them if we don't end up. I mean, it's easier probably to cancel it at the last second than it is to set it up.
Okay. And you want to do that in person?
Yeah, I mean, if we can, I don't know if we can have I would rather do it in person by far.
Yeah.
If it has to
Me
be
too.
recorded or televised, I mean, we could have a Zoom, we could meet in person and put a computer next to us and do it that way.
Would you folks be okay with staff being present?
Yeah.
Sure.
We play well with others.
So we can help with the tech
Sure.
if need be. We just have to make sure it can be in person. It just needs to be advertised. Like it has to be advertised. So a public space is going to be the best in terms of.
So does that mean meeting the city property somewhere, either at City Hall or elsewhere?
I don't think that matters. It just needs to be in an accessible location if those did want to be present.
Okay. So can we pick a spot too right now?
I'm fine coming down.
I'm not
to you.
sure.
You may want to try some of the libraries. They have community rooms.
The high
Including
school, the high school also.
High school's probably midway between us, I would imagine.
Good. Sure.
Got some nice spaces.
There really are some great spaces in there.
Use
But
them.
I'm not sure who we need to,
So
Andrew.
I can.
yeah, let
I
me
can-
coordinate that, and I can get back to you in terms of availability of those spaces and sort of how it works in terms of checking, making sure that we can reserve it. Do you guys want to have a backup space just in case? Backup location?
I guess if we could meet in City Hall, a room there in the evening, I guess that would be a backup space since it's right next door.
Or the public library, sort of
Okay.
anything on that campus is fine.
Would 7 o'clock or 7:30 be good for you, Andrew? At all?
Perfect.
I can have dinner and then come. Okay. And the other thing that would be helpful is if you could provide maybe a Word document of either, well, maybe both current rules and regulations and the template that you've been working on. That would just give us something to work through. Take notes.
Staff will absolutely provide you with that information.
Is
Cool.
there any more conversation?
Louise,
Yes?
the applicant for the 483 Broadway project is just emailing requesting if they could speak in front of the commission, but since it's been closed, I wanted to leave that up to you as chair and the commission as well. We would have to make some sort of motion to another agenda item.
They want to speak before the
I
committee.
believe that is a. Well, I don't know if it's the reason I don't know if we can make, since it's been closed and we've moved on, if that can happen.
They want to be heard tonight.
They wanted to speak to the commission.
I think
But
if it's
I'm
been
not sure if
closed, I think if it's been closed, it's
Yeah,
closed.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't sure if you were aware of another
Yeah.
rule, but I don't think that it can be open again.
No, you cannot reopen it.
So we did not vote on closing it. We simply said they don't meet the deadlines, the guidelines, period. So the commission can decide whether you would like to hear them or not.
I would prefer not to.
Can you make a motion, please?
Motion to,
Motion to close the case.
yeah, close the case or whatever.
Okay, and a roll call vote for that. Frank Valdez,
Oops. Yeah.
I think he said yes. Andrew Arbog,
Yes.
Yes.
Tim Talon,
Yes.
Deborah Fennick,
Yes.
Sherry Ruane,
Yes. Yes.
and Tim, even though you are an alternate, I'm still going to let you have a voice.
Yes. Thank you.
So the commission has voted unanimously not to hear any more of the 43 Broadway case tonight. Are there any other comments on the UDC rules of procedures and policies that update?
I think Andrew's gonna have an update on the meeting with the planning.
Right, so the final thing is a potential joint meeting with the planning board in the fall.
Yes, I just wanted to make the commission aware that staff will be coordinating with the chair of the planning commission to have a joint meeting that's scheduled sometime in the fall after they get through a lot of sort of like, as I said, a heavy pipeline where we can discuss design review goals and concerns and other items you would like the planning board to be aware of. So please stay tuned. And as we think about dates, we will make sure that we coordinate potential meeting dates that will work for everyone. And that is the only update.
So on that one, the planning board doesn't have a quorum this summer. Are they down members, or is it just people are out of town, or what's the deal with that?
It's a mix, actually. We've had 2 members leave, resign, and then vacation.
It would be great to be able to reach out and have that conversation sooner than the fall. I think the initial request was made in November, so we're looking at like a year out of when we identified this as an issue, which seems really, really long. And I think, sort of as we mentioned before, we don't really need them to vote on anything. I think even if we had some amount of them and we're able to communicate, that would be helpful, as opposed to sort of waiting until we kind of know they're going to be swamped and busy and crazy based on the schedule and the lightness of the summer to kind of to have that and wait until after they're sort of through it. It seems like a missed opportunity.
I will make sure that information is relayed to the planning board liaison.
At this point, would someone like to make a motion?
Item related to kind of rules and regulations or procedures. We had talked about giving the commission the opportunity to review the recommendations along with meeting minutes. And look at, I think the last project that we recommended was Boynton Yards Building 3. That would be a great opportunity to maybe start, especially given the significance of that project, to start that procedure. So I was wondering if the recommendation is available, and that would be something the commission could review.
So Tim, Building 3's UDC recommendation has already been finalized. It's been well within the 45 days since they've had the design review. They've moved on. They're moving on to their second neighborhood meeting.
Okay. So is the commission not able to review the commission's recommendations?
That's something that if you feel that you would like to do that moving forward, we can make sure that that's part of the rules of procedure and policy document. If you want to have something on paper, we can definitely discuss that. And the change, as I mentioned before, is that we have the individual case planners who are working on these recommendations. So I have to coordinate with the rest of staff that is something that's wanted by the commission. But if you wanted to make a motion to move forward with that, I will bring it up with the rest of the PPZ staff at our staff meeting.
Okay. So I motion that the Urban Design Commission be given the opportunity to review the written recommendations that are produced for each project on which the commission makes a recommendation.
Seconded.
So we'll take a roll call vote so that the Urban Design Committee is able to review each recommendation that they vote on. Frank Valdez,
Yes.
Andrew Arbuthnot,
Yes.
Tim Talon,
Yes.
Deborah Fennick,
Yes.
Sherry Ruane,
Yes.
and Tim Hood.
Yes.
The Commission has voted unanimously to be able to read their recommendations after every case. Are there any other items of business?
Motion
Hearing-
to close the meeting.
Second.
Before closing that, sorry, before that is accepted, I just want to, for the records, say that Andrew, in the beginning, when I was having technical difficulties, was designated by me to call a vote from you on the minutes. So just to make it abundantly clear that I designated him to do that. A motion has been put forward to end the meeting and it has been seconded. We will do roll call vote. Frank Valdez,
Yes.
Andrew Arbuthnot,
Yes.
Tim Talon,
Yes.
Deborah Fennick,
Yes.
Sherry Ruane,
Yes.
and Tim Hood.
Yes.
Given that everyone voted to say goodbye, I would like to close this meeting of the Urban Design Commission on June 21st at 7:04 p.m.
Good night, everyone. Thanks.
Good night. Happy 4th of July.